You ever have one of those days where you're just watching life unfold and thinking, yeah, this can't possibly get dumber? That was me, standing on the edge of my field, watching a white Escalade tear through my crops for the third time that week. Cattle spooked, dust everywhere, and some lady behind the wheel looking smug as hell. I'm talking the kind of smug you only see on HOA board members who think the world's their personal gated community. You know what I mean? Let me back up a sec, because you probably think I'm exaggerating, but if anything, I'm underselling just how bonkers things got. My name's Mark, and I've got 40 acres at the dead end of an old dirt road, a patch of green my family's held onto for 3 generations. We raise some cattle, grow hay, and lease a chunk to a neighbor for corn. It's not much, but it's mine, and out here the only rules that matter are the ones posted at the property line. Or so I thought. Now, 8 years back, some developer carved up the woods down the road and dropped in one of those sparkling subdivisions, the kind with an HOA that makes the IRS look chill. I didn't think much of it. They had their fancy gate, I had my fences, and all was right in the world. But 6 months after folks started moving in, I started finding tire tracks zigzagging through my lower field. At first, I figured somebody got lost, maybe kids sneaking off for a smoke. But when the tracks showed up again and again, right through my hay crop, it was clear. Somebody decided my land was their personal shortcut. So, like any stubborn farmer, I put up signs, big orange private property, no trespassing, banners every 50 feet. That didn't stop them. Next, I tried wooden fences. They knocked them flat. Plastic posts? Crushed like twigs. This went on for weeks, until one morning I heard the roar of an engine and turned to see that Escalade barreling across the field, kicking up dust, cows running for cover. I flagged her down, heart beating out of my chest. The driver rolls down the window and gives me that look, half disgust, half bored. "Can I help you?" she says, like I'm the problem. "This is private land." I tell her, trying to keep my cool. "You need to use the main road." She laughs, full-on cackles. "This isn't your property. This is HOA common area. It's in our bylaws." I stared at her, honestly thinking maybe I was on a hidden camera show. She goes on, "I'm on the HOA board. I've seen the maps. This is ours. Lady, I've got deeds, surveys, tax records going back 60 years. Want to see my property survey?" I ask, already pulling it up on my phone. She waves me off, rolls her window up, mutters something about harassment, and guns it straight through my crops. I'll tell you, I went home fuming. Dug out every bit of paperwork, called the county, double-checked the surveys. My boundaries were ironclad. Called the HOA management company, too. After being bounced around, finally someone confirms. Nope, that's not HOA land. Never has been. They promised to send a notice to their board, and I give them her name. Karen, Director of Community Standards, of course. Well, Karen ignores the official notice. Keeps plowing through my fields, morning and night, always in that same Escalade. So I send her a certified letter. She refuses delivery. I call her. She blocks my number. I even show up at an HOA meeting, and she has me escorted out by security. For 3 months this went on. Every day, she'd cut across my land. I documented everything. Photos, videos, timestamps, certified letters, emails, you name it. My lawyer said I had a slam-dunk trespassing case, but getting an injunction takes time. Meanwhile, her shortcut was carving ruts through my pasture, messing with the drainage, and scaring my livestock. So, yeah, I decided to fight back. But I did my homework first. Turns out, here in my state, as long as you've given fair warning and posted signs, you've got the right to protect your land, even if that means using, let's say, vehicle deterrence. I went to the sheriff, old buddy of mine, and laid it all out. He just grins and says, "You want to use spike strips?" I nod. "Just make sure you post plenty of warning signs, send one last certified letter, and document everything. If it goes to court, you want to be squeaky clean." You know what? That's exactly what I did. Sent 3 certified letters to every address I could find for Karen. Home, HOA office, her work. Posted bright yellow, warning, vehicle deterrence in use, signs every 20 feet, reflective, can't miss them even at night. Then I installed the spike strips, real police grade, not some backyard setup. Set up cameras, too. Covered every angle. And then I waited. 4 days later, I get an alert from my barn camera. There's the Escalade, bouncing across my field. She hits the first spike strip, front tires go soft. Keeps driving. Second strip, back tires. She doesn't stop. Third strip. At this point, she's basically crawling on 4 flats, but she makes it another 50 yards before coming to a halt in the middle of my hayfield. I'm watching this on my phone, can't even believe it. She's standing there, screaming into her phone, when I walk out. "You psychopath. You destroyed my car. I'm calling the police," she shrieks. I'm as calm as I've ever been. Already called them. I tell her, and keep the camera rolling. She starts yelling about how it's HOA property and I've committed a crime. Deputy shows up, looks at the mess, looks at all my signs, and, no joke, I catch him smirking. Karen tries to play the victim, but the deputy shuts her down. "Ma'am, you're trespassing. He's got documentation. You're getting a formal warning. One more time, and you'll be arrested." Karen storms off, gets her car towed, out of her own pocket, by the way, and I think, finally, peace at last. But of course, she files a lawsuit. Sues me for $25,000 for property damage and emotional distress. Her argument? That my spike strips were booby traps, and that she had an implied easement because she'd been using the route for months. Now, here's where the twist comes in. During the lawsuit, my lawyer finds that Karen wasn't just trespassing for fun. She was shaving 5 minutes off her commute, and she'd been bragging all over the HOA Facebook group about showing that stubborn farmer who's boss. She sent texts, emails, even posted photos of the shortcut. You ever see someone torpedo their own case in real time? Because every last one of those messages ended up in our evidence file. The judge, bless him, sees right through her nonsense. Dismisses every single one of her claims, awards me $31,000 for damages and legal fees, and even writes this poetic little paragraph about how her actions demonstrated a willful and persistent disregard for established property rights. Could have framed it and hung it on my barn wall. But the cherry on top? Word gets out. HOA management's furious. When Karen refuses to step down, the whole board votes her out. Her neighbors are ticked. Nobody wants HOA fees going up because of her antics. Insurance refuses to pay for her tires, and last I heard, she and her husband packed up and left the neighborhood for good. With my settlement money, I built proper gates, better drainage, put up motion sensors and cameras everywhere. My land's more secure now than ever. And those spike strips? Still tucked away, warning signs still posted. No one's tried to cut through since, because, stories travel fast, especially ones where someone gets a little too big for their britches and finds out, the hard way, that some lines you just don't cross. Thing is, there's always going to be folks who think rules are for everyone else. Who believe wanting something gives them the right to just take it, never mind the law or basic decency. And sometimes the only way to teach them is to let the consequences do the talking. Karen made her choices. She lived with them. I'm still here, still working my land, still answering to nobody but the sunrise and the cows. Now, before you click away, let's stir the pot a bit. Do you think I went too far? Was I in the right, or should I have let it go? Have you ever dealt with a neighbor or an HOA that just refused to play by the rules? Drop your story or your take in the comments below, because I'd love to hear how you'd handle a Karen of your own. And if you ask me, sometimes justice just looks like a flat tire in the middle of a hayfield.